Okay, before we actually get into the meat of the video, I just want to mention that overall, and these guys talk about it too, is coaching overall is just the best way you can possibly get better at disc golf. Watching YouTube videos is great. Getting the online courses, there's a couple of them out there. That's good for learning the knowledge of the game, but really you need to get with a coach who can cater to your exact needs. Everyone has a different background, different abilities, different ceiling, different floor. You just need a coach that knows what they're doing, can give you drills and set you on the right path so that you're not overthinking all these things in your mind. It's something I wish I had when I started playing, being a completely self-taught player, which makes me the great coach that I am now. But really, overall, you need to get a coach, help dial it in. It'll make the process so much easier.
All right, without further ado, distance mechanics. Okay. So do you have core mechanics that you're taking people through? And someone says, how do I throw farther?
Right.
Probably the most common question.
Where do you go with that?
Distance mechanics, I hate to give the boring cliche answer of it depends, but try to give a short version first, I guess. And then if it's not too boring for everyone, I'll try to give more of a expanded, longer answer. So for distance mechanics, there's kind of some main form fundamentals you'd want to have in place, usually just because there could be some low-hanging fruit. So like, for example, if someone's throwing arm is just getting stuck back here and there's zero, horizontal abduction, zero elbow drive, that's probably something that could be worth 10, 20% power and distance. And so a lot of the stuff, I'll usually not try to give someone something that's going to add distance and decrease accuracy, because in disc golf, accuracy is so important. But the good thing is they overlap so much, because a lot of it's based off of biomechanical efficiency, being dynamically balanced at all times during the throw. So
something funny about Nick Crush, if you've seen any of his videos, super knowledgeable, knows very well, like he just said, like biomechanical, everything. Uses a lot of fancy lingo. I think this video is nothing too crazy, but some of the videos he goes into some pretty crazy wording that is probably a little bit over a lot of people's heads. But overall, the concepts that he talks about are super, super true.
Those are all really important things. And then in terms of like the more technical things, for like max power throwing, usually you want to just maximize range of motion and speed. So if I can have a bigger shoulder turn, a longer reach back, that's usually a good thing, but it can't come at the cost of what my hips are doing or what my lower body coil, because I don't want to be off balance. And that all puts you in position. Being balanced and being stable is what puts you in position to move at your speed limit, and everyone's speed limit is different. Everyone has different bodies, different horsepower, their nervous system's different muscle fiber compositions. So you'll see some huge ranges. Like some people can just move really fast with normal average form. Some people with exceptional form can't move as fast. It's just a huge spectrum, as you know.
Totally agree. There's so many factors in what people's ceiling and floor are at. There's some people who, like Nick, have a super good athletic background. They're just athletes overall, fast twitch muscles, and they have a much higher ceiling than someone who's maybe a little bit older, not as flexible, doesn't have the athletic background. But like he said earlier, you want to, for distance, get to the max peak extension point that you can to create acceleration while still maintaining balance. And he mentions mainly balance, but I think while still maintaining proper mechanics, because you could be balanced but kind of overextended. One of the most common things I see is when people go to their peak reach back, they get a huge shoulder turn, huge extension with the arm, but their hips also rotate completely around. Their feet are maybe turned around backwards. So you could be balanced in that position, but you're not necessarily coiled. And he mentioned coiled, but I think that's so important to have your peak rotation that you can be in the core. Obviously the hips can kind of load back slightly, but we don't want the hips turning super far, or especially not rotating with the shoulders.
We all are probably really familiar with as coaches.
Everybody here, they just want to know how to throw real far. These guys don't care. We're just going to act like nobody cares about accuracy right now, because if you're clicking on this video, you probably don't. I don't care where it goes as long as it goes 650 feet, you know what I'm saying? Okay, so...
I think this is just completely a false way to go about looking at this. Obviously, I think some of you probably have this feeling, but really to put it in perspective, if you would trade your score, or would you trade your score right now for more distance? Meaning, would you be okay with, say you normally shoot at your local par 3 course, you normally shoot dead even par. If you could throw 600 feet, but you're shooting 5 over par, would you take it? Probably not, because ultimately, a few months into throwing 600 feet, you're going to completely lose your mind because you're going to be scoring worse than you were already, and you're not really going to get improvements. Can throwing farther help you score better? Yes, but really you want to be doing things that make you throw farther and more accurately, because ultimately I think you can very much do both of those things at the same time.
Just to pare down your concepts, what I heard in overthrow language is you're just trying to make sure you have room to accelerate the disc. So you want your backswing to be as long as possible without compromising the space for your throwing arm. The other big thing that sets that up is your posture, your balance. Okay, so did I recap kind of those things?
That was really well said.
For you,
yeah,
it would be as long of a lever as you can.
Yes.
As balanced as you can be.
Yes.
And then yeet.
Yes, just send it.
Okay, so from here, I get in this position. Okay,
Honestly,
here we go.
yeah.
So I'm here, my pocket is pinched. This would be nowhere near the deep pocket. Deep pocket, extremely shallow pocket. Okay, all right, so I'm here. So I go back.
Deep pocket is something that, I think is super, super important. There's a lot of different ways about going about this. A lot of people get really focused on what the actual pull through is doing, and I think that's what they're mainly kind of start with. So I'll touch on that once they kind of mention it. But overall, everyone wants to see this kind of more deep pocket position. All of the power throwers in the world, with the exception of maybe Ezra Aderhold, get into this type of position.
Let me grab a disc.
So you have the pinch pocket, so your shoulder's already rotated.
So I was here.
Pretty far.
Yeah, the move that gets people here looks like that.
Let's step over here as well, so that's a little bit, yeah, there we go.
But generally how people get there, you would say people get there doing a move like this, right?
Yeah, they initiate. Do you want me to start talking about?
You go crazy.
Okay, cool.
It's up to you, dude.
Yeah, the most common reason for that I see, I'll talk about like the psychological reason or the intent of the throw, and then also the mechanics. It's sort of a theory, but also I've had a lot of feedback from clients where when we're trying to throw really hard and really fast or really far, our body naturally seems, more often than not, there's some lucky ones that this doesn't happen for, more often than not, it seems to try to make the disc feel as heavy as possible, as early as possible in the throw. And the way it manifests, let me grab the disc real quick. The way it manifests is we try to rotate the shoulders really fast and have this massive centrifugal force of the disc getting far away from our body. And that kind of ends up being a shallow pocket, strong arming type of mechanic oftentimes, rather than that deep, fast horizontal abduction, that deep pocket. So it's kind of like part of the unintuitive or paradoxical part of the backhand is that what we want to do isn't really in line necessarily with the best way to do it sometimes. And I think that's why so many people struggle with
what
this
you're
mechanic.
Saying is what we naturally try to feel is not the thing. We don't know what we're looking for feel.
Exactly, yeah.
So for me, this would come back.
This is a super, super good point. This here, we don't know what we're looking for feel-wise. Super common issue. I think feelings make it so you can do things that, you've never done before. Because obviously everyone knows what perfect disc golf form looks like. You can watch the Disc Golf Pro Tour, you can watch videos on YouTube. There's plenty of recordings of people throwing with perfect form, but getting yourself to do it is a completely different beast. And I think dialing in what you actually need to feel to make a certain thing happen is absolutely huge.
Back to trying to make most people, when they say that they're arming the disc, they're feeling something correct. They're feeling that heavy disc right away, because when your body rotates like this forward, there's a lot of drag on your arm because it's just caught behind. And so it feels strong because there's a lot of effort on your body.
Exactly.
So we think, oh, this is too much effort. And it is too much effort in that situation for them. Right? So if we have this kind of drag rotational centrifugal deal, it feels really heavy. Versus when you just go straight through, the disc feels way lighter for the same amount of speed.
It's just it's a funny thing, but that's what's so good about the tech disc and radar, because like, you know, you just hear people say, yeah, for some reason, like the easy light feeling throw was 5 miles an hour faster, sometimes even, than like the hard feeling throw. And it's like, that's what you want to hone in on really to get better, you know?
Yeah, it's such a, in the beginning, you don't know exactly what you're looking for. All you can gauge is effort. Oh, that one felt stronger. If you feel stronger, you probably actually in the beginning just felt more effort and more drag. And then you get through, you get past your body clean, you feel way less for the same amount of speed, because your hand just passes straight through. It doesn't have to ride this sucker all the way.
It's so funny, especially my in-person lessons. Obviously, the virtual ones I don't get to see just throw after throw, but my in-person lessons, I see someone throw, you know, 100 shots in an hour. So you can really tell. Some people say like, oh, that didn't feel great, or that felt weird, or that felt soft. And then the disc is like flying farther than they've thrown a run up with a standstill. The nose is down, it's spinning well, they're getting turn out of a disc they don't normally get turn out of. So it is funny, you totally have to get used to what a good throw feels like. And that clean, effortless feeling is absolutely what you should be shooting for.
Way around and yeah. It's a weird thing that clients have to learn to feel differently. You have to rewire what you're looking for.
It's the real versus field disconnect, and like that's not to like plug us as coaches, but that's something like as an athlete I didn't even find myself until like I had other people looking at my throw.
Yeah, I mean, I would just hate to plug us as coaches.
All right, I'm skipping some of this.
I mean, there's for sure effort, and you're for sure pumping the ground, but there's this speed aspect to it where it's quick and it's light inside of that. I mean, you're putting out so much effort, but it's just fast. In every sport where you have to
effortless
either propel something or eject something, there's this feeling of that is fast, that is quick, not strong. Okay, so I'm gonna throw one, just so everybody's clear. I'm gonna try to get into this position where I'm here, not deep pocket. Looks like this when we throw. Oh, hold on. I don't want to be that exaggerated. No. So here we go. Now I'm going to show the bad one, but I'm actually going to make sure the disc gets out of my hand. So. Was that a good bad one?
Yeah, it was good execution of. That's actually harder to do than a good throw at this point.
Dang, brother.
Oops. The disc was coming in with at least 4 gigajoules of kinetic energy. It had to be absorbed
there
somehow.
It is.
Yeah.
You're just too good at good form. It's hard to throw a bad form now.
Well, that was pretty bad.
So where do we go from there? So we're gonna get you on a drill progression to get your arm coordinating better, so that when you do work up to your max power for that day, your arm's not falling behind like it just did. And that way we're gonna get you a faster arm, a faster disc, probably more spin too, as a nice side effect. And yeah, bombs.
So my arm's falling behind.
Super excited because Nick is probably one of the best at, like he said, drill progressions. You know, a whole lot of people post YouTube content, myself included, without really talking too much about drilling. I more reserve that for my, my actual clients that I'm working with, because it can be a little bit more of a specific thing. You don't want people just doing all sorts of random drills for no reason. But some sort of drill progression, and Nick's super good at breaking these down. So if you're looking for a drill progression, check out Nick's stuff.
Yes, it
That's
fell
what
behind.
A student would say there.
You initiated the throw, and just to quickly demonstrate here, you initiated a throw with fast shoulder rotation, but the arm did not match that speed or exceed the speed. So basically your shoulders won the race to the pocket, your arm lost the race. Technically, if we could speed your arm up to get it to win the race, we don't really have to slow the shoulders down too much, and that should equate to a lot more power, but that can be a lot to ask for in a first session. So what we're gonna do is a constrained drill progression to get your arm working better and to kind of take some of the juice out of the rest of the body just temporarily.
Yeah, and quick clarification, because there's a bit of a misunderstanding here. We're talking a relational hand between shoulder, right? So the problem was not necessarily that the shoulders were too fast.
Right.
If my arm can go fast.
Yes.
This is a great point because, you know, a lot of people have a really quick firing shoulder motion, and that's not necessarily, we don't necessarily want to slow down the shoulders to create room for the disc to catch up. We more want to just get everything else in position to make it so we can get the disc in front of our body as opposed to stuck behind.
So with someone like that, if they have more latent arm speed, you would just work on speeding up the arm, not constraining the shoulders.
Exactly, yeah.
But with most people, the shoulders very easily kind of outpace the arm, so the arm can't get through. So usually you would stop the shoulders to just make sure that that relationship is hand winning the race. Okay, set me up, Doc.
All right, so
Coach.
First drill. Doc's cool too, honestly. It has a nice ring to it. So one leg drill is going to be where you stand with your nose over your toes on your front foot. For a righty is the right foot. At least 80% of your weight's gonna be on that foot. And then you're just gonna kick your left foot toes a little bit behind your left butt cheek, and they're just kind of touching down for balance. So not a lot of weight going down, kind of just balance to feel at least as comfortable as you can. And then because we want the arm to keep up with the shoulders, we are in a lot of cases gonna constrain shoulder rotation speed a little bit just for the beginning of the session. So that's where we're going to pin the left hand to the left thigh here. And that's just gonna make sure your off arm isn't doing any stuff that's like throwing off the timing or speeding up the shoulders too much, or just, you know, basically just ruining the whole throw. So that's gonna be the setup there. So the pre-throw checklist is gonna be left hand pinned to thigh. And then I also like us to have the chin a little bit down and back, just a little bit. And then after that,
I like chin back slightly, just for like positioning and ease of kind of throwing. I don't love the chin down feel for most people, because for most people, as soon as they go chin down, their shoulders cave in here. And this is not a position we want to get in, because then you have no room to pull the disc through. Nick's obviously athletic, very good posture, so he can go chin down and back and still keep his shoulder blades pinched back and down, creating plenty of room for the disc. But for most people, chin down is a direct cue to shoulders caving in. So I don't love this tip.
that last pre-throw checklist is gonna be setting up the throwing arm.
I want you to get me in position. For the sake of this, we're gonna assume that there are no major mobility issues.
Okay.
I mean, if you have mobility issues, you better get with the coach.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
Okay.
okay.
So anyways,
here,
yeah.
Boop.
Yep,
Left
you got your
arm
nice
tucked.
one leg.
Eyes slightly back and down
Yep.
to keep me here.
Exactly.
Now arm.
And then
Okay, so I'm back in a different shirt. Video got cut up, but exactly like what I was just talking about. Look at how naturally, just because Josh did a little down and back with his head, he now has a little bit of, you know, shoulder rolled forward posture just naturally. Notice how Nick just standing up, I think Nick might have better posture than Josh overall, but Nick is much more like pinched shoulders, you know, nice and tall chest. Josh is a little bit more hunched over, and I think that's partially just because of that chin down and back. So I want to see more chin up for sure.
the last pre-throw checklist is the arm. So I like to get the disc kind of just setting up in a deep pocket position here. Maybe under the right pec is a good starting point, roughly. And then elbow out. So we always want to keep that elbow out away from our body. And that is going to give us that space for the pocket. And it also naturally puts our shoulder or scapula in protraction, which is a stronger position for the shoulder to transfer energy through. So you need to do some...
Totally agree with that. But I disagree with where he's saying to hold the disc. So, you know, naturally, and they don't really talk about it too much in this video, but the way we go back is the way we want to go through, timing-wise. And you guys have probably seen me talk about this in other videos, but basically, if I start with the disc more on the right side of my body, and I rotate back, it's naturally going to be easier for me to rotate my shoulders and get my shoulders to full range of motion before my arm gets all the way to full range of motion, which is then in turn going to cause, you know, if the shoulders go back early, arms late, then the shoulders are going to go through early and the arm's going to be late going through. So I like the elbow up, like everything about this position is great, but I just like to see the disc starting more on the left side. Even though we're trying to get deep in the pocket, start more on the left side or the rear side of your chest, because then from there, you're more easily going to be able to time up the rotation of the shoulders and the arm extension.
Also naturally puts our shoulder or scapula in protraction, which is the stronger position for the shoulder to transfer energy through. So you need to do some practice swings. Ideally, I recommend one exaggerated practice swing before every single throw during the session. Maximize the chance of good mechanics happening during the real speed throw. So I like to do a practice swing, exaggerated elbow drive from the reach back. That's driving to that 11 o'clock for you as a righty thrower. And as you do that, you're flicking, that's copying your guys' terminology from your video. I think Mikey said it, flicking the wrist in or bouncing the wrist in. It's basically, you're just kind of getting some bouncy curl in. And that's
I love the wrist curl in. I talk about it in a little bit of a different way, where I'm talking about more pulling the inside part of the disc, meaning the opposite side of the hand, and have that feel like it's going forward. Because if you feel like this side's going forward, you're naturally going to get more curled as you then pull through more. What we want to avoid, and you can do it either way, the way I say it or the way they're saying it, but what we want to avoid is the hand really tugging forward and opening up as you pull through. See, this is naturally getting my elbow kind of dipping down. We want to see, as you go to pull through, you're getting slightly more curled as you get into that power pocket, which gets you just deeper into the power pocket, just like they're talking about.
ensuring that even though your elbow is technically driving away from the pocket, the disc is coming in. And that's giving you a nice, bouncy, elastic, fast arm motion. And so that's kind of what you practice. I do some practice swings, and then very low power for these first ones, like as slow as you need to feel like you can do that during the throw. And then I'll just let you.
So this is good here.
Yes, that looks great. And then I'll just let you send it.
And then I send just not full power.
Yeah, it's super low power on the one legs.
Here, and then just throw.
Yep, just let it fly through there. And that was good execution right there. The elbow.
Good.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, and then the post-throw checklist.
I'm concentrating really hard.
So the full training session, if you were my athlete and I was coaching you, the way I would do your training session to make sure your arm is moving fast enough, you would do the one-leg throws with the pre-throw checklist and throwing focus, the full constrained one that we're demonstrating on the video. And then after you do those and you're comfortable, you'd work into the same exact thing, but in a standstill stance. And then after the standstills are good, then you would work into the one-step.
I like this progression. I do the same progression, but I skip the one leg. You can even notice the difference between Nick's standstill and the one leg is with the one leg, he's much more like body weight over the toes forward, which is just very much not how you throw a full throw. You can see where the standstill, naturally his hips are back. I think if you do the one-legged drill, just make sure that you're sitting a little bit more back into your stance, because naturally if your weight is forward over your toes, you give yourself less room to pull the disc through anyway. So I prefer just starting in the standstill. I think it's simple enough, but if you do want to do the one leg, feel like you're sitting the hips down a little bit more, maybe put a little bit more weight on the left leg than they're saying to do here.
Stance. And then after one steps, you then do a three-step X step, AKA three-stepper, Corey Ellis style. And then after that, then you get into the full X steps, which are going to be at first using the pre-throw checklist and throwing focus. And then you can kind of pull off all the stops and just get into it and just do a throw where, you know, you're still thinking about moving your arm fast, but you don't have to deal with the hand that's pinned, the head motion, any of that stuff.
Okay, so that is kind of the bulk of mechanical training when it comes to upper body relations,
Yes.
right? Of course, we get a lot of stability and such from the lower body, dynamic balance being one of your...
I think, you know, they really missed a big piece here. They're really focused in this video on just the pull through, like from reach back, what is happening? And I think that's taking out a whole entire half of the throw, where I think so much more control is in the way you're getting to your actual peak reach back. And if you're in all of the wrong positions and doing the wrong things to get to that peak reach back, there's no way that you can actually get everything right. You're gonna have to do so much overcorrection with everything to get it going the right way. So I'd be much more inclined to start and help people try to get the way they go back adjusted. So like I mentioned before, a nice power pocket starting position, disc starting by the rear side, the rear chest. And then from here, all we're doing is we're just rotating our shoulders and extending the arm. You know, really all the reach back is just this position. And if you do a nice controlled rotation with the shoulders, not trying to jam the disc back, if you set the disc at your peak reach back position well, then you're set up very well to pull through, as opposed to just focusing on the pull through itself.
Your other key aspects of throwing far, take me through what that is, why it's important, what you coach on that.
Okay, so first, quick definition, like 10-second. Dynamic balance just means you're balanced while moving. So static balance means I'm standing here, I'm balanced because I'm not falling over. Dynamic balance means I can move and not lose balance while I'm moving.
So pour would be this.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, if you see the head going flying around, it's usually trying to regain dynamic balance because the body likes to do that. So the reason dynamic balance matters a lot and why I think it's really overlooked is because we kind of take for granted how our central nervous system prioritizes stability and balance over speed and power. So we can't have maximum speed and power if we're not balanced and stable. And the reason is because you will injure yourself the first time you do anything if you're not stable and balanced and you try to apply maximum muscle contractile force. So that's just the body's natural protection mechanism, is because health matters more than throwing 600 feet, at least in terms of what the body cares about, the nervous system.
Yeah,
so that's
your
why
priority might be throwing far, but if you're about to fall on your face, your body says, I'm gonna protect my face, and screw throwing far.
Yes.
I wanna live.
Exactly.
Got it.
Oh boy. It looks like Josh has practiced these. That's definitely off balance, that's for sure. That actually looks like a pretty good Anheuser. Oh my.
Okay, so that's hip shoulder separation. That's just the way that we get our lots of time with the disc back there, as much room as we can possibly have so we can continue applying force for as long as we can.
I feel like they skipped over a little bit of the lower body, the balance. I think the lower body is so crucial in the throw. Obviously, I think upper body is where there's more like fundamental things that you kind of have to do to be able to throw properly, whereas lower body, maybe you can get away with some different things, you'll just lose power. So obviously if you want to throw far, lower body is very, very important. But overall, I think you can throw as hard and put as much effort in as you can, as long as you're maintaining balance, like they mentioned, but also that you're maintaining your form. Because I see so many people that can throw low speed, you know, they're throwing 200 feet and they have great proper technique, everything's on plane, they're very balanced, and then when they try to throw farther, they just do this huge run up, get super off balanced, and everything, you know, they stop rotating their shoulders, they stop extending their arm in the right place, they reach around, they pull their shoulders through early, so they do all these other bad things. And so I think, as you can see from my throw, and really a lot of pros' throws, most of the time we're throwing pretty smooth and slow. We're not doing this huge run up. We're very controlled. We're just like playing within ourselves where we can throw a full shot, but still hit all of our timing. And then obviously, you know, a lot of us have the capability of going faster and still hitting that timing. But I think key for you guys is just really play within yourself. Don't try to overthrow it, or especially with the lower body, don't do these huge run-ups. Stick to even like that Corey Ellis type 3-step, or add in 4 or 5 steps, but overall just stay really controlled through the whole throw to where you're hitting your timing well and you're hitting your positions well.
Want to do that dynamically balanced, so our body's not saying, hey, I'd rather protect my face than throw far. And then just the relationship between the hand and the shoulders, we want the hand to get ahead. Those are kind of your distance essentials.
That's a great summary, yeah.
Okay, now what about, because when someone's throwing 600 feet, it's high performance, right? There's some like genetics involved. There's some mobility stuff that you have to look at. What are you doing to get people to that elite level?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's a big question. But just to summarize, when we're looking at someone reaching either their genetic ceiling or their ceiling for, where their body currently is, as the coach or as the athlete, really, you want to figure out like what your superpowers are naturally. Some people are going to be really good at mimicking another person's form, which is a huge advantage. Go try out, a few different 600-foot, 700-foot throwers' forms. Some people are just going to be really good at generating power, like Clint, Blitz DG, we're looking at you, just powerful beast.
Super powerful.
So some people have that either from lifting weights or naturally. Some people are really flexible. So Zachary Nash, Eagle McMahon are some guys that come to mind that have good flexibility and good mobility where they can, have long motions.
Yeah, because of the strengths, weakness.
Super, super great point. I think everybody has things that they naturally do well. And it's about trying to find form that can make it so you can double down on those things. I think so many people just see what perfect disc golf form is and then just kind of throw out the window all background experience. I mean, you see guys like Calvin, like Ricky, who have unconventional throws in terms of mechanics, but are super powerful, are super good, and they're just, doing a throw that makes it so they can be comfortable, so then they can use the length and the athleticism that they have to perform. So don't get too caught up in perfect form, and just try to find a form that you can kind of double down on things that you've done in the past, or just kind of your strengths and what you feel like you're good at right now.
This is how everybody's built uniquely, differently, created differently, how things go together, different movement patterns that are available that we think about that you won't ever think about. That's why you need a coach, and we really can't overvalue or overplug that. So you need to sign up for Nick's coaching, or you need to sign up for our coaching, or you need to sign up for coaching somewhere with someone that can do that for you. Where can they find?
Like I said at the beginning of the video, finding a specific coach is going to be the best thing for you if you're actually trying to get better. There's so many opinions online all over the place. Most of them don't apply to you specifically. And most of the people that I work with we're just trying to simplify what they're thinking about. Get them to think about a couple things, give them a simple drill progression to make them better. And mostly just take out all these extra variables. So it doesn't matter if it's from me or one of our FORMERO coaches, or if it's one of these guys. Just find someone who you trust and you think you value their opinion, and they'll set you in a great direction from there. But overall, just go and get yourself a coach. But for now, thanks for watching this video, guys. I'd love to do a few more of these in the future. As you guys have seen from previous videos, I have been battling a little bit of an injury. So some of the videos in the recent or in the soon future may look a little bit more like this. So I'd love if you guys gave me suggestions on videos you want me to react to. There's plenty of disc golf coaching online, and I think most of it is, a little bit kind of outdated or just kind of regurgitative. So I'd love to kind of react and tell you guys what is good to think about and what is bad to think about. So let me know if you have any specific videos that you want me to react to down in the comments, or send them to me on Instagram or wherever you can contact me. But thanks everyone for tuning into this video. Find my coaching on FORMERO. It's in the description. I'd love to work with all of you and help you get your game better. For now, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next video.